Okay, so picture this. You're at a birthday dinner. It's a nice restaurant, maybe a dozen people. It's supposed to be a really special night, right? But as the evening goes on, you start to feel this weird, very modern kind of tension in the air.
And then, at the end of the night, the person whose birthday it is says this, kind of quietly, about one of the guests. I don't think he was really there. I mean, wow. That sentence just hangs in the air. It says so much about our lives today. How can you be somewhere physically, but not really be there?
To really get what they meant, you have to look at two of the guests at that table, because their whole approach to the night, well, they couldn't have been more different, and it perfectly captures this quiet divide that's happening all around us. So let's break it down. On one side of the table, you have a guy we can call the performer. He's got like over 8,000 followers, and he spent the whole night basically performing for them, angling his phone to get the perfect shot of the food, constantly checking who was watching his story. He was broadcasting the party. And then, on the other side, you've got the present. His phone? Never even saw it. He was just there, in the moment. He was talking to people, really listening, remembering little details from conversations they'd had months ago. He wasn't packaging the moment, he was actually living in it.
And here's the kicker. The next morning, the birthday person sends out a thank you text. It just said, "It meant a lot that you came." And you know who got that text? Yeah, it wasn't the guy who posted. It went to the guest who was just present.
That story, it really gets to the heart of it, doesn't it? But the reasons people decide to step back from this endless cycle of posting, well, they often go a lot deeper. And sometimes those reasons are really uncomfortable to talk about. You know, there's this idea out there that people who quit social media or are just super private are somehow better, more evolved, more psychologically healthy. But is that really what's going on? I think the truth is usually a whole lot messier than that. For a lot of people, logging off wasn't some calm, zen decision. It was an act of survival. Maybe a really bad breakup happened, or they were going through a depression that made seeing everyone else's perfect highlight reel just unbearable. Or maybe, and this one is tough, they shared something raw and vulnerable and it was met with nothing, crickets. Or worse, it was totally misunderstood. That feeling of putting your heart out there and getting nothing back, that's a powerful reason to retreat. But here's what's so fascinating. After people leave, they almost all describe the exact same feeling. It's like this low humming background noise that's been on for years, a noise they didn't even realize was there, is suddenly switched off. And in that quiet, they realize, wow, they haven't actually heard silence in a very, very long time. So, let's get into the psychology of this. Because that feeling of quiet and presence, it's not just some vague idea. There's real science that explains why unplugging can feel so good. A study in the Journal of Consumer Research found something that just blew my mind. The simple mental act of getting ready to share something, just thinking about the picture you're going to take or the caption you're going to write, it literally makes you enjoy the actual experience less. Your brain is trying to do two things at once: live in the moment and produce the moment for an audience. And it turns out those two jobs are totally at odds with each other.
And this brings us to this key psychological concept called private self-consciousness. Now, this isn't about being shy or an introvert. It's about where your focus is. It's the tendency to look inward, to pay attention to your own thoughts and feelings, instead of constantly worrying about how other people see you.
So think about it like this. The person focused on outward performance is always asking, how does this look? What will people think? They're constantly scanning for approval from the outside. But the person with an inward focus is asking a different question. What do I think about this? How do I feel right now? Their sense of self is way more stable because it's coming from the inside. It doesn't need likes to exist. But let's be real for a second. Choosing to live this way, with an inward focus, it's not all sunshine and rainbows. Especially not in a world that is basically built on sharing everything. There's a genuine trade-off you have to make. And that cost is very real. You become harder for people to keep tabs on. And those friendships that kind of existed just through watching each other's stories, a lot of those might just fade away. And that can really sting. That easy point of connection is just gone. And not everyone is going to pick up the phone to bridge that gap.
So what do you get in return for that cost? Well, let's talk about one of the most incredible studies ever done on human life, the Harvard study of adult development. They followed the same group of people for 80 years to figure out what really truly leads to a happy and healthy life.
And after 8 decades of research, the answer was overwhelmingly clear.
The single biggest predictor of long-term health and happiness wasn't money, it wasn't fame, it was the quality of your close relationships, the depth of your connections, not the number of your followers. You see, the guest who got that thank you text, he is the living, breathing proof of this study's findings.
So this all leads us to a final, really beautiful idea. It's the ultimate reward for choosing to live a life that isn't constantly being performed. And that idea is living a life with a sense of authorship.
People who live this way have a certain quality about them, a presence that you can actually feel. They are just in it, whatever it is. There's no part of their brain that's off in a corner composing a witty caption. The experience itself is enough. It doesn't need to be captured to be real.
And that right there, that is authorship. It's the deep, profound feeling that your life is actually your own. It belongs to you. It's not some product that you're constantly curating and outsourcing for likes and comments. You are the author, you're the main character, and you're the audience all at the same time.
So, at the end of the day, it all comes down to one question, a question you can ask yourself about your own life, your own memories. Is your life being lived, or is it being packaged? It's a simple question, but in the world we live in now, answering it has never been more important.